Hello there role players, Rhaegar here for another video. Today's video is going to be another video in my Dresden series. Today we're going to talk about city creation. Now this topic is going to be split between two separate videos because it's quite a big topic. This one is mainly going to cover what is city creation, why is it important, and why it's worth doing it. The second video will talk more about some of the details of how it's done in the Dresden book, the RPG book, talking about things like themes, threats, locations, faces, and the aspects and that sort of thing. So, that's going to come in another video. So we're going to get down to why is city creation important in this one. Well, not to say sound too dramatic, but city creation is perhaps the most important decision you make when setting up a Dresden game. I know there's a lot that goes into a role-playing game, characters, organisations, creatures, machinations, but in this sort of game they all stem from where you decide to set your game. So this means that everything else comes from this decision, everything else sprouts like a tree from where you decide to set the action and the story. Now, traditionally in games, a lot of this is down to the GM. He decides what story he's going to tell, and the players sort of come along for the ride. In Dresden, and I would say in most Fate games, from what I've come in contact with, it's much more collaborative, and the actual setting, the location, not the location of the story rather than the setting of the actual universe, is a process everyone gets involved in. Why is this important? And why should you consider doing this when you run a Dresden game? Well, by getting the players sort of input into this, they usually will feed you story hooks by the dozen, because they'll say, well, I'm interested in this, I'm interested in these factions, I kind of think this is cool. And you feed that into city creation and think, okay, what kind of city kind of gives off that kind of vibe? They can save you a ton of work, in a sense, by giving you what you want, what they want, and then you can put it into the game. So if they want to go through a game about corruption and gambling and the glitz and glamour of life, you could set it somewhere like Vegas, and that has already in history and just in real life just plenty of stuff you can draw from. It's saving you a ton of time on just coming up with a load of stuff yourself. Now, that's not to say that you can't, and that's not to say it's not fun to come up with your own stuff, because it is, all the time. But use your time wisely. Get the players involved. It really helps with this game. An example that I like to tell you is when I was setting up a Dresden game, and we set it in York. That was my decision, because I got a sort of a feeling what the players wanted, and I felt York, it's got a lot of good historical links in the UK, a lot of interesting things in the past that I can draw from, and in terms of it's not been covered in the Dresden verse, so it's also a blank canvas in that sense that I don't have to really worry about existing factions and things. I can just put in there what I need. And we were talking about the church at the time, and one of the players has had, well, in the backstory of the game, had a bit of a beef with some werewolves, which was cool, which was great, which we were putting in there. They're like a different part of the city. That's their sort of turf. Right? We're talking about the church, and then they came up with on their own the idea, which I would have never thought of, that the church and the werewolves have a storied history of conflict apparently, and that in fact York, in Pacific, York Minster, has special enchantments upon it to protect it from werewolf attack. So the kind of statues and gargoyles that surround York Minster, these beautiful old architectural things, if a werewolf comes upon this ground on a full moon, they would come to life and defend the church from such an attack. Now, that's something I would have never come up with on my own without my players' input. But by getting them involved in it and getting them to say what they thought was cool and what they're interested in, just really enriched the whole setting for me. And I thought that was really cool, and one of the things that sold me on city creation with other players. So, like I said, seed creation, probably the most important thing you do in this game. That's the only way to put it. And to recap, pick somewhere that is going to help you tell the story you want to tell. That's going to allow you to already have themes and historical myths that you can draw upon to bring into your game. Make it less work for you so you can focus your time on the things that require your time. So, that's a brief overview of city creation. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed talking about it. And next time we're going to talk about themes and threats and faces. So until then, guys, take care.